All right, so as we begin our awards presentation this evening, we thought it would be right to present the first ever Invisible Hero Honors Award to our speaker this evening, Luis Carlos Montalván. Ready to continue? Here we go with our 2011 Honors Awards. We have our corporate award now, and we're going to recognize Kevin Custer. Kevin has over 20 years of experience in the technology and education market and is a recognized leader in launching and growing successful businesses in the online and enterprise markets. He has the unique ability to foresee market opportunities and put the right people, products, and partners together for success. In 2009, Kevin participated in Colorado's Autism Commission, which developed the state's 10-year strategic plan for autism. Additionally, for many years, he has served as volunteer ski instructor for the National Sports Center for the Disabled in Winter Park. Kevin is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Corporate Honors Award. Kevin's been chosen based upon his leadership and innovation as the founding principal of ARC Capital Development by investing in companies providing disability and K-12 online education, such as Autism Pro. His personal passion for children living with disabilities is also manifested in his volunteerism as an executive board member of the Autism Society of Colorado and the Autism Society at the national level. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Custer.
Go right ahead. It sounded very corporate in the bio, didn't it? It was kind of scary. I get the privilege of combining both a vocation and a passion, because it's when I get to see people like Margaret, who I got the privilege to have dinner with, or Captain Luis, we'll call him Luis, sorry, can't pronounce this, but I'm not an educator, I happen to be a capitalist, and what we decided many years ago is to combine passion and vocation. I have been the fortunate ability to found several companies that serve about 10 million kids a week online in the United States, and about half our schools. And from that, what we discovered is that if you do the right thing, you also happen to make money. The last 10 years, we've had the privilege to invest in and operate companies in the disabilities and in the education space. We look to do that. We see where that growth comes from, and it comes out of a passion. What I didn't know until tonight was that almost 6 months, a year ago, when I met Wayne, he introduced me to a guy. He says, you should call this guy. He has a science product. It's really cool. And I got to meet this guy named Pete. I actually flew down to Texas and met him and got to see that he had a passion for doing video. And he had taught his son how to do video with his son, and his son had a passion for science. His son is named Enzo. Enzo and him, we're working with them now to get into thousands of schools in the United States with that. It wasn't until tonight when I saw the video of Pete that I knew anything was different about Pete, other than the fact that when I went to say, do you want to meet for breakfast or lunch, he chose lunch. But we got to see the video. We were in that car. I actually got the privilege of riding in that car with him. And when Wayne said I was honored tonight, it came out of the fact that I don't see people with necessarily a disability. What we see is their passion. And from that, we try to figure out how to leverage that passion in so that lots and lots of people get a chance to connect in with that passion. And Pete was a great example of that. And I have to thank Wayne for introducing me to somebody like Pete, because we didn't see his disability. What we saw was a passion, and that's a lot more exciting. So thank you very much.
Our next award is our Inspiration Award, and the recipient is Theresa Marchetta, news anchor and Call 7 investigator, exposing health concerns and business practices that put Coloradans and their families at risk. Since moving to Denver, Theresa has been awarded the Emmy for Best News Anchor twice, and also been named Best Anchor in Westward and 5280 magazine. She's also received the Arizona Associated Press Award, which is pretty cool since she works in Colorado, wouldn't you say? How do you do that anyway? Theresa was honored with the Kaiser Permanente Thrive Award by the Colorado Association of Black Journalists for Health Reporting. She received the Defender of the Patient Award from the Colorado Medical Society in September of 2011. Theresa is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Inspiration Honors Award. She's been chosen because as a two-time cancer survivor, she inspires people impacted by cancer to keep fighting and to use their challenges and triumphs to help encourage others. Theresa lives by example by volunteering at various illness charities, including Gilda's Club, a worldwide cancer support community. She wasn't able to join us this evening due to a prior commitment, but please a nice hand for Theresa Marchetta. Our 2011 honorable mention volunteer, Elly Johnson, a tireless volunteer for those with disabilities, both visible and invisible, and those with no disabilities at all. She cooks meals for those who are sick or grieving. She provides housing, counsel, and emotional support for people in need. She's ceaseless in her refusal to pass up an opportunity to help or reach out to someone. Elly performs all of this while living with pain herself from a spinal fusion due to scoliosis. Elly's receiving a Volunteer Honorable Mention Award this evening for her amazing volunteer work helping others. Elly Johnson. I'm particularly proud of this next one because I met this young lady a couple of years ago, and I've leaned on her more than I should have to come speak to groups and to places that I've been because I'm so inspired by her story, and I know that the people who meet her will be as well. She's the lady that made this quilt that you got to see in the dark here tonight. Juliet Madsen is retired from the U.S. Army and the founder of Stroke of Luck Quilting. Juliet received the Purple Heart when in 2004 her convoy was hit by a roadside bomb, changing the course of her life forever. She was in an ambulance, right? And the ambulance, because she was a medic, the ambulance was struck by an IED. She was thrown from it. It's an incredible story of survival on her own. Once she survived that, then later suffered a stroke. And through all of this has been an inspiration to a lot of people. Juliet has endured with a traumatic brain injury, years of physical and occupational therapy. She created the ultimate sew-in to raise money for paralyzed veterans and the 2010 wheelchair games where she brought in the torch, but we won't go into that whole story. It's actually sad. Along with other volunteers, Juliet created almost 500 quilts for other soldiers, like herself, injured in the war on terrorism. She's been commissioned to create a wall quilt for the VFW to celebrate the restoration of one of the Vietnam memorials in Washington, D.C. She's receiving a Volunteer Honorable Mention Award this evening for her amazing volunteer work helping others. Ladies and gentlemen, Juliet Madsen. Don't eat my dessert. She's the best. 2 days. Yeah, Wayne, you know how Wayne likes to give people a lot of advance notice when he needs something?
We had 2 weeks notice. She decided to do a triathlon in the middle.
Yeah, she ran a triathlon in the middle of this. This is her new life now. She's running a...
She paid for it for days after.
Our next 2011 Honors Award recipient volunteer, Jane Brown, earned a JD from Pepperdine University School of Law and an LLM from Washington University and St. Louis School of Law. She started her career working for various law firms and then as a corporate tax attorney for Fidelity Union Life Insurance Company. Jane spent 8 years as a government staff attorney with the Office of Legislative Legal Services. Her most recent position was with Quest as Senior Sourcing Manager. In 2007, she had to leave her career due to multiple sclerosis. Jane Brown, JD, LLM, ABCDEF, no, is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Volunteer Honors Award. Jane has been chosen based upon her extensive volunteerism with IDA as an online chat host and welcoming committee member on the Invisible Disabilities online community, reaching thousands around the globe. Jane also established a local Colorado-based support group for people living with disabilities and provides it leadership for weekly coffees and other special events. Jane's volunteerism is performed while living daily with multiple sclerosis. Jane Brown, raise your hand out there. There she is. Her husband, Bill, is accepting the award on her behalf.
So I'm going to read Jane's speech. Remember, this is from Jane, not from me. So I would like to thank everyone for attending tonight. You have no idea how incredible the organization you are supporting really is. I had saved my sanity in 2007, and I can vouch to her insanity. I can't, oh, that wasn't in there. Okay. I can't thank them enough for the work they carry out and for the special award. My work hosting the IDC, that's called the Invisible Disabilities Community.org. That's an online chat room we have, chat organization. We have about 3,500 members on there. That's a side note. And organizing this meetup group for disabled people was all done for me. After I had to stop working in mid-2007, I was literally quite lost and furious about it. It began one day in late 2007 when Wayne, that would be me, called and asked if I would check out his website and let him know what I thought of it. I was so flattered. I haven't read this, so this will be... A person from the outside world actually wanted my opinion. I never thought anyone would ever want it again. I was washed up, disabled, and out of the game. I felt like I was on life sidelines, never, ever to return. And then there was worrying about my health, a constant, along with the visits to the neurologist, calls to the health insurance company, and my former employee's HR department, and worries about qualifying for SSDI and long-term disability. It was a nightmare. When I hung up the phone that morning, I remembered wondering why I had told Wayne that I would check out his website. I was tired and had no interest in getting on the computer that morning, but I convinced myself that I could do it quickly and that it wouldn't be a big deal. Just log on, look around, and take a few notes. I logged on and quickly found out that I was mistaken. I couldn't look around the site until I had become a member. This would be on the disability community. Yes. Which just involved answering a few basic questions and selecting a username, nothing out of the ordinary. But it was more than I was anticipating. It seemed like the way too much work. The username especially stopped me for some reason. I don't want to use my name, so I selected, and yes, this is really her name, Ugh. And it perfectly matched how I felt. Once I had become a member and started looking around, I was amazed. I was with people like me. They had health issues. Their lives, they had known them before their illnesses were destroyed, and they too were in various stages of putting a new life together. After that first day, I logged on to IDA several times every day and soon learned that the chat room was where I could best get to know people. I became a chat room regular and then joined the site's welcoming committee so that I could meet even more people. One day I was talking with Sherry, that would be my lovely bride in the blue dress, who I don't know where she went. Oh, she's back there. Ah, next to Jane. Side note. Okay. After the first day, I logged on the IDA several times every day and soon learned the chat room is where I could best get to know people. I became a regular chatter, and one day I was talking to Sherry, asked her if she thought a Friday night chat would be a good idea. There wasn't one, and she said, if you want to host it, it's yours. That's what we do in our organization. If you ask, we put you to work. I was floored. Me, host, I couldn't do that. Could I? One thing you do when you become disabled is doubt that you are even worthy of breathing. Self-confidence is something you lose, and I had completely lost it. The next thing I knew, I was hosting the chat room 2 nights a week and loving it. I had a reason for existing. In the fall of 2009, I realized that I wanted to meet people in person, to make a friend, someone who understood my situation. So I started a meetup group that I called Disabled People Want to Meet Up Too. The exclamation point presented a plea, can we please? Today the group has 161 members. Wow. And I'm so proud of everyone I've met. They are all warriors overcoming huge obstacles just to come to a meetup to share themselves with others who have disabilities and crave understanding and acceptance. We are one happy group that meets every Thursday afternoon, and this must be the commercial part, and welcomes everyone who has a visible or invisible disability. If you would like to, please stop by my table. That would be Jane back there at table number 11. And say, what is it? 14. Oh, the lights are bright. 14, and I would love to say hello, love to meet you and give you one of our cards. They have little cards with someone you think may be interested in joining our group. Needless to say, I have more than one new friend. Thank you all, Jane.
Our next 2011 Honors Award recipient for research, Dr. David Martz, has been a community physician who practiced internal medicine, hematology, oncology in Colorado Springs for 30 years. He's been an assistant professor of clinical medicine at Colorado University Medical Center in Denver for over 20 years and a member of the admissions committee for over 10 years. He also served as the president of the Colorado Medical Society in 1994 and 1995. Dr. Martz's personal encounter with ALS Lou Gehrig's disease was published in Acta Neurological Acta Neurologica Scandinavia in 2006. David Martz, MD, is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Research Honors Award. Dr. Martz has been chosen based upon his extensive ALS, motor neuron disease, and Lyme disease research as a physician and a board member of the International Lyme and Associated Diseases Society. Born out of his personal experience with ALS, Dr. Martz has a passion to discover possible treatments for patients living with these illnesses. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. David Martz.
I want to thank Wayne and the board for giving us the opportunity to share some of our experiences with you. I prefer to speak with notes and spontaneity, but because of a tendency to lose track of time, I've gotten in the habit of writing a narrative discussion, knowing that one page usually is exactly 5 minutes, our allotted time. However, when I showed Wayne my first draft a few weeks ago, he said, "Dave, you only talked about the research. You need to include more of your personal story in there." I'm sorry, I couldn't get it all into one page. Many of you may have heard it said, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Many of us here tonight have experienced the unexpected blockade or abrupt turn in life's journey that all too often is not really a laughing matter. Speaking personally, 8.5 years ago, at age 62, I presumed many years of good life were yet to come. Mother made it to 88 and Dad to almost 95. Neither my wife Dee nor I were prepared for me to contract amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. Over the next 8 months, I went from being a candidate for the Energy Bunny for the AARP, to losing 15 pounds of muscle mass. I became unable to arise from a chair or dress myself, and I needed oxygen 24/7. I could stand for only about 5 minutes, could walk only about 100 feet, and could barely climb a flight of stairs. Lifting a gallon of milk out of the refrigerator was a Herculean task. However, as you know, this disease has no effective treatment and is universally fatal, usually in 2 to 3 years. My wife Dee and I prepared to walk this difficult path with as much dignity as we could muster. Obviously, it would not be easy. However, my ALS had been accompanied by several Lyme-like symptoms: severe arthritis that froze up my shoulders, profound fatigue that decreased my stamina from 16 to 18 hours to about 30 minutes, and total body pain requiring around-the-clock narcotics in a guy who rarely took an aspirin. Therefore, we sent 3 blood tests to Mayo Clinic. All were negative for Lyme disease. A 1-month trial of tetracycline used to treat Lyme did not make me fully well. No one else believed I could have underlying Lyme. Dee and I were ready to accept the reality of impending decline and death with as much grace as possible. But then an East Coast friend of my son faxed me an article from about a Philadelphia physician who reported success treating an ALS patient with complex antibiotics used for Lyme disease. It stated that, quote, special blood and urine tests were needed and, quote, treatment required months or years, not just a few weeks. I asked a pathologist friend if he could track down those tests, and he contacted a Lyme specialist in Texas whom he had known 30 years previously in medical school. New blood and urine samples were sent to the special lab he suggested, and a month later, we got the encouraging news that they had found, by PCR technology, as you see on CSI, the DNA of the Lyme bacteria in my system. Making no promises, the Texas doctor started me on 4 simultaneous intravenous and oral antibiotics just to see what might happen. It was amazing, truly. In 2 weeks, the pain and arthritis totally disappeared and have never returned. Within 2 months, I could cross my legs without using my arms. And within 3 months, I could arise from a chair without help for the first time in a year. By 12 months, I was much as you see me now, looking so good compared to my pre-treatment. I was functioning at about 60 to 70% of my baseline strength and stamina. Today, 8½ years later, after falling ill with definite ALS, I still take antibiotics and I remain much the same. The damaged muscles have not fully regrown and I'm not as vigorous as I was prior to my illness, but I usually pass for healthy to the casual observer. To our knowledge, remission of ALS to this extent had never been reported in the medical journals. Our profound personal gratitude was accompanied by a sense of pay it forward opportunity and responsibility. And so in late January 2005, we opened Rocky Mountain Chronic Disease Specialists, RMCDS to say easily, and began seeing patients with possible complications of Lyme disease, including some with apparent ALS, MS, and Parkinson's disease. Our intent was to study the clinical features, laboratory testing, and treatment of possible Lyme disease done with a scientific consistency that would allow possible subsequent medical publication. Assisted by other part-time practitioners, some of whom are with us tonight at table 10, we saw over 800 patients in 2½ years, including almost 100 with ALS, about 25 each with MS and with Parkinson's disease. The majority of patients, however, had illnesses compatible with chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and other poorly explained inflammatory diseases. Generally speaking, we found that about 20%, not all, but about 20% of our ALS-like patients showed major functional improvement, similar to my own, and another 10 or 20% may have stabilized from the usual inevitable decline. About 70 to 80% of the non-neurological patients had significant improvement with their fatigue, their arthritic problems, and their cognitive impairment, all characteristics of the chronic Lyme syndrome. Despite months and months of multiple concurrent antibiotics, complications were amazingly rare and easily managed. We're currently in the process of preparing several articles for publication, including an 8-year follow-up report on my own case history, which was published in 2006 in Acta Neurologica Scandinavia. Also, a formal report of our 15 or 20 ALS patients who had the remarkable functional improvement on expanded antibiotic therapy. Another one is a study of some 330 patients treated with expanded antibiotics who had minimal complications. A cluster of 40 patients in rural Colorado, where Lyme doesn't exist, in rural Colorado with Lyme-like illnesses that got much better with antibiotics. A description of the clinical characteristics of our over 800 patients with Lyme-like illness. A few other physicians are publishing reports on their experiences with Lyme disease, and numerous mainstream academic researchers are now finding that chronic inflammatory disease may really be, at least in some cases, chronic smoldering infection, which is very much in keeping with our own concept. And so in closing, Lyme or Lyme-like illness is clearly a cause of invisible disabilities. We now hope that at least some patients with currently progressive neurological illnesses, and perhaps many patients with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, chronic cognitive dysfunction, autoimmune conditions, and other invisibly disabling illnesses may now have some hope that help is on the way. It may take some time for the mainstream medical community to agree and accept this, but we want you to know tonight that there are concerned physicians who are doing their very best to attack many of these invisible disabilities. Thank you.
That's why I dropped out of medical school. Couldn't say neurologica. Our next award, our 2011 Honor Awards recipient, caregiver, Dave Diaz. An experienced business insurance executive with special emphasis in leadership, strategy, and sales. Partnering with his clients, he delivers a compelling network of world-class complementing professionals focused on propelling their clients' mission. Dave is a transformational visionary who understands how to mobilize people behind a common vision to achieve outstanding results. Dave is chairman of the board of PremierLegacyFilms.com, is founder of HistoryInAdvance.com, and InsuranceThoughtLeadership.com. He serves on the board of directors of Interwest Insurance Services, one of the largest privately held insurance brokerages in the U.S. He also currently serves on the board of trustees of Azusa Pacific University. Dave Diaz is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Caregiver Honors Award. Dave has been chosen based upon his passionate caregiving for his wife, Irene. Dave has exemplified this role by not only caring for her on a daily basis, but by also inspiring other caregivers by authoring a book and maintaining a blog about Irene's journey through pain and illness. Dave was unable to join us this evening. Let me read from a letter he sent to Wayne. Greetings, Wayne. I am deeply honored to be the recipient of the 2011 Caregiver Award, and it is with regret that I am not in attendance this evening. Your work highlighting the weighty matter of invisible disabilities is important and inspiring. My wife of 31+ years, Irene, lives on a bed of suffering since the spring of 2007, having been diagnosed with a rare and incurable blood disease called primary amyloidosis, a 3-month hospitalization, 2 trips to ICU, 1 code blue, a stem cell transplant, and many other heroic means saved her life and is currently treated 3 days a week for kidney failure and faces unrelenting nausea 24/7. Irene's buoyant spirit, joy-filled heart, and unwavering faith in Jesus Christ have sustained her on this colossal journey. She decidedly lives above her circumstances, and as a result, many who see her haven't the slightest hint of her ongoing trials and tribulations. Thank you for all you're endeavoring to accomplish through Invisible Disabilities. May God continue to put wind in your sails. With highest regards, Dave Diaz. Our 2011 Honors Award recipient, Founders Award, goes to David Sandusky. David is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Founders Honors Award. He's been chosen based upon his desire, passion, and execution of strategic brand planning and cutting-edge innovation to help individuals become great leaders and their organizations become successful and sustainable. In addition, Dave has directly impacted the leadership of IDA in helping them fulfill and execute their vision and mission. And he and his lovely bride could tell you all about a 1930s letterpress if you've got some time. Great company. David Sandusky.
Thank you. This is quite an honor, Wayne. I appreciate you. Let me tell you how easy it is to win such an award like this. When you run into someone that has an unmistakable passion and a mission that comes right from the heart, there's only one thing to do: help. Thank you.
Next, we have our 2011 Honors Award recipient for Perseverance. Margaret Ferrante received her MD from the University of Southern California School of Medicine. She received additional specialty training in anesthesiology and critical care from Stanford University School of Medicine. Dr. Ferrante has served as an assistant professor at the UCLA Department of Anesthesiology, the UCLA Department of Radiology, and at the University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine, Radiology, Anesthesiology, and Critical Care departments. She also served as the interim chief of the Department of Anesthesiology at the Philadelphia Veterans Administration Hospital in 2001. Margaret A. Ferrante, MD, is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Perseverance Award. Dr. Ferrante has been chosen based upon her amazing perseverance and inspiration as she lives each day with devastating results of a major car accident causing multiple chronic illnesses and injuries, including TBI, traumatic brain injury. In addition, Dr. Ferrante is using these experiences along with her education and training as a physician to encourage others living with difficulties. Please welcome Dr. Margaret Ferrante.
Well, I have to say that, you know, in applying for medical school and being pre-med and getting in the car accident, being an attending beforehand, having gone to Stanford, USC, University of Pennsylvania, being around a lot of really smart people for much of my academic career, there was nothing that hit me harder than the day that I was taken for neuro rehab and was sitting around a round table just like we have here tonight. And instead of me giving a lecture on hypotension or the use of Swan-Ganz catheters or how to use SIV versus CPAP versus control AC on a ventilator, all the ICU, intensive care unit stuff that I know, as well as the anesthesiology things, running a department of anesthesia at the Philadelphia VA, meeting a bunch of surgeons that I always had to argue with because I always had the veterans' first best interests in mind, so I was the advocate for them. But I have to tell you that my hardest day was sitting around a table, being taken by a wheelchair, across the street from the hospital where I did neuro rehab, and looking up and seeing a bunch of people around me that were wearing head, neck collars, quadriplegics with their wheelchair, and I was one of them at the table, and it was me. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. I had to go through 3 rounds of speech therapy, and I'm glad I did it. In a way, I'm glad it all worked out. I'm still here because I was able to use the bad and turn it into the good, so to speak. I have to say that Romans 8:28 is my favorite Bible scripture. I believe that it teaches us that everything happens for a reason and that something good can always come out of something bad. So I want to thank God. I want to thank my daughter Margaret, who was also in the car with me, and she had to see her mommy go to the hospital so many times. She thought the ambulance was like one of our cars. And I want to thank Wayne and Sherry also for all their wonderful work. I look forward to trying to help others and living to serve as I've tried to do. I'm actually thinking of going back to work. I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to cater to the disabled because I didn't know you needed a makeup mirror, and I was crying when I couldn't get out of the shower, and I just didn't know what to do when I was left with nobody with me to walk me from here to there. So I know the feelings of abandonment. I also know the feelings of believing in yourself. You have to believe in yourself. You just have to. You have to take one day at a time, and that's my secret, is just taking one day at a time and counting on God and just worrying about today. Because tomorrow has enough troubles of its own, and today is always great. Thank you very much.
Continue with a couple of awards we have to give away here before we call in an evening. So some very deserving folks we want to recognize. And we'll start with our Advocacy Award recipient. Peter Saltonstall is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Advocacy Honors Award. Peter has been chosen because of his advocacy, leadership, and commitment to the identification, treatment, and cure of rare disorders and diseases while serving as the president and CEO of the National Organization of Rare Disorders. Peter was unable to join us this evening, but a nice round of applause for Peter Saltonstall. Our Impact Award recipient. John C. Reed earned a BA and MBA from Harvard University, was honored in Newsweek's The Giving Back Awards as one of 15 individuals who make America great. He had an incredible career and then joined the Association of Hole-in-the-Wall Camps in July of this year. He previously was with Outward Bound, where he served as president since 2001 and president and CEO since 2005. John is the 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Impact Honors Award, chosen based upon his passion and leadership for helping children and their families impacted directly by illness, pain, and disability as the president and CEO of the Association of Hole-in-the-Wall Camps. And we've got a short video.
Every day, all over the world, children living with serious medical conditions face enormous challenges. Paul Newman envisioned a place where these very kids could recapture a piece of their childhood by putting their worries aside, kicking back and having fun. Today, hole-in-the-wall camps and programs span the globe, touching lives in over 39 countries and all 50 states. These are not just any camps. They're places filled with love, support, encouragement, and most of all, acceptance. At camp, children enter into an environment where anything is possible, where programs empower and activities build confidence and self-esteem. Paul's commitment over 20 years ago continues to grow and has enriched the lives of more than 164,000 children.
Camp, what a joyous adventure to look forward to. When I was a kid, camp was a place where I could hike, fish, meet new friends, raise a little hell. And it was that simple idea that started the hole-in-the-wall camps. Get sick kids out of their hospital rooms and let them be kids again. I've heard it said that you can leave camp, but camp never really leaves you.
I think it's important to have camps like this all over the world because it shouldn't just be here that kids can be happy. It needs to be all over the world. We want kids everywhere to be treated fairly and kindly. That's important, because if everyone is treated kindly, then this can be a better world.
Listen to the voices from the hole in the wall.
John was unable to join us this evening. Accepting the award upon his behalf is Ruth Johnson, CEO of Colorado's very own provisional member of the Association of Hole-in-the-Wall Camps, Roundup River Ranch. Ruth Johnson.
On behalf of the more than 364,000 children whose lives have been forever impacted by hole-in-the-wall camps, we're really privileged to accept this award. Roundup River Ranch is a brand new hole-in-the-wall camp located right here in Colorado. We opened this summer, and we look forward to continuing our programming of empowering, inclusive, and most importantly, medically supportive camp programs in the years to come. Thank you very much for your support.
And our 2011 Honors Award recipient, Medical Cancer Treatment Centers of America, the 2011 recipient. CTCA has been chosen based upon their pioneering of a new paradigm in cancer care known as the Patient Empowerment Medicine Model. Accepting on behalf of CTCA is Dr. Katherine Pucket, National Director, Mind-Body Medicine. Katherine has more than 30 years of experience in human services addressing the needs of vulnerable populations who have sustained major losses. Broad-based professional background includes over 20 years in leadership positions in social services and healthcare, with additional experience as a clinician, researcher, and teaching assistant. Dr. Katherine Pucket.
Thank you so much. It is such a privilege and an honor to be here among all of you and to receive this award on behalf of Cancer Treatment Centers of America. I have to tell you selfishly, I'm really happy that Richard J. Stevenson, our founder and chairman of the board, was out of the country so that I got to come in his place. Mr. Stevenson founded CTCA years ago in the memory of his mother, who was treated for cancer and did not get the kind of care he and the family thought she should have received. So they founded CTCA to give integrative whole person care, and we have now what we call the mother standard of care. We like to imagine that every patient we treat would be treated as would be our mother or other loved one. And patients truly are at the center of our model of care. Sometimes they'll joke, but it's not really a joke. They'll say, you know, Dr. So-and-so, the patient will see you now. Patient is at the center. Many, many other whole person services surround that patient. So I feel it's such an honor. There are so many parallels, I think, between what we do at CTCA and the work of invisible disabilities. You know, some kinds of cancer are very visible, as we saw with Matt. Some are not visible at all. A patient that I've enjoyed working with for years often says to me, you know, everybody keeps saying, but you look so good. And he says they have no idea what I'm going through on the inside. We're about empowerment, hope, advocacy, and it's an honor to share that with you. Thank you so much.
And our healthcare recipient, as you can see up on the screen, Kent Thiry, CEO of DaVita. In the 11 years since Kent became CEO, Total Renal Care, a once ailing healthcare company on the brink of bankruptcy, transformed into DaVita, a $6.5 billion Fortune 500 industry leader. As CEO of DaVita, Kent has been recognized with numerous awards, and we're going to give him another one. The 2011 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Healthcare Honors Award, chosen based upon his desire and passion to provide leadership in healthcare awareness, education, and dialysis services for all Americans impacted by kidney disease and diabetes, while serving as the chairman and CEO of DaVita. Accepting on behalf of Kent Theory is DaVita Vice President of Communications, Bill Myers. Bill?
Thank you, Rick. So proud to be here today, and I send the regrets of Kent Theory, our CEO and mayor of the DaVita Village. He is unfortunately traveling and is out of town right now, but he is with us in spirit, and he wanted to communicate his extreme gratitude to this. We serve about 135,000 patients, largely through dialysis services around the country. And most of those patients live with invisible disabilities. We have 37,000 teammates around the country, and many of those teammates live with invisible disabilities. It has been an absolute inspiration to be with you today. Had the chance to chat with Lori at our table today, to hear Luis talk, to hear Matt talk today. I just tip my cap to you. We are so proud to be a part of this, and thank you so much.